Hello darling. And welcome to the final part of this SakuAtsu series. There isn't much more for me to say, other than my quick disclaimer. There may be a teeny tiny bit of cursing in this one, as well as sexual content. And without further ado, enjoy the video. 8:33 a.m. After all the walking they'd done, the two finally decided it was time to rest and eat something after being on their feet for so long. Once Kyumi had carefully arranged Atsumu's collection of seashells into a small pile beside their beach blanket, he made his way back to the car and retrieved the cooler containing the meal he'd prepared before leaving. More people had begun appearing along the beach now, scattered throughout the shoreline in the distance, but it still felt pleasantly quiet. The sound of the waves drowned out most of the chatter, and their area was generally empty. Kyumi returned and settled down beside Atsumu, both of them facing the ocean. Yay food. I'm so hungry. Atsumu sat up a little straighter, watching with anticipation as Kyumi opened the cooler. One by one, he pulled out two neatly prepared bentos. One contained fresh slices of sashimi arranged carefully alongside rice, vegetables, and a few small side dishes. The other featured a toro, the rich, fatty tuna prepared just the way Atsumu liked it, accompanied by the same assortment of rice and vegetables. Even after hours in the cooler, everything looked perfectly packed and organized. Atsumu's eyes widened the moment he recognized the toro. You didn't. Fatty tuna? Seriously? How could I not bring your favorite? And you made them? Kyumi laughed softly. Yeah, I did. They look so fancy. And here I thought you were a bad cook. Excuse me, I knew I made a good choice choosing you. Damn right. I'm probably the only person who could handle you. That sounds half insult half sorta cute. Nah, take it as full cute. Okay, but this is so sweet Omi. It looks delish. Only bad thing about eating right now is how we're gonna lose our chance to go skinny dipping, expecting more people are gonna be here later. We were never gonna do that. But we could've. Hell no. Cannot believe you were thinking about that. Don't go acting all innocent now. But I was 99.99% kidding. I could never risk giving someone else the privilege of seeing you. Yeah, for my eyes only. 99.99%? Bye. Where's that 0.01%? Atsumu shrugged. I know how much you love that number. With all your hand sanitizers and Lysol disinfectants. I don't understand why they don't just make one that kills 100% of bacteria. Obviously I know why. But at this point you'd think they'd have something. I just 100% know you'd be some sorta scientist and make a product that does if it weren't for volleyball. I so would. But then I'd have to directly work with and experiment on bacteria. Never mind. Atsumu dropped his head, laughing. Even though you'd be wearing a ton of gear and everything? My passion is not strong enough to deal with that, so still no. I'd probably pass out if I saw any germs under a microscope. Making a mental note to print out pictures of them under a microscope and stick them everywhere for you to see if you ever make me mad. Excuse me? You better not. That's so homophobic. Stop stealing my joke. That was literally my joke up until you stole it. That's what a thief would say. Atsumu shot his hands up defensively. Oh my, eat your food. Kyumi quickly picked up a piece of fatty tuna from the bento with his chopsticks and held it out toward Atsumu. The blonde didn't hesitate, happily leaning forward and accepting the bite, immediately forgetting all about their earlier debate. He hummed smoothly. What the hell did you put in these? They're so good. I feel like I can die of happiness now. Well, I'm glad you like it. But don't die on me please. Till death do us part. Yeah right. We're such goals. They continued eating, the conversation flowing easily between bites. Every so often, Atsumu would pause just to shower Kyumi with more praise, especially whenever he took another bite of the fatty tuna. After a while, Kyumi spoke up. Have you ever ate a date before? Ate a date? Yeah. What does that mean? Like ate their ass? Plus you're the only person I've ever dated. Dude the fruit. Not a person date. Dude? Do not dude me. Oh whoops haha. My love. Darling. Sweetheart. Baby. Atsumu hummed. That's more like it, and no I haven't. I'm crying because why did you misunderstand so bad? Well it was a pretty random no context question. Do not tell me about random when you drop atrocious jokes and conspiracies. I'm just matching your energy. Did you know they come from palm trees though? Like, am I stupid for just finding that out? I wanna say yes, but I honestly didn't know either, so I guess we're both stupid. Adds up. Do you think koalas get angry? Do I look like National Geographic? Well, with that palm tree insight of yours, I thought you'd have the answer to everything. You know that one guy that voiceovers a ton of those animal documentaries? Cause I have no idea if he's with National Geographic or not. He sounds pretty hot. No, I view him like a family member that shares his wisdom. True, still hot though. Hotter than mine even? Watch me voice over an animal documentary just for you. Bahaha, no actually. Like one of those boyfriend audios. Kayumi raised a brow. You best not be listening to those when you have me. Atsumu began lightly tapping his fingers up Kayumi's arm, a playful grin tugging at his lips as he worked his way from his wrist to his shoulder. You sound so jealous sometimes. Because I am jealous sometimes. All the time. Sometimes. All the time. Sometimes. Eventually, their laughter softened into quiet chuckles as they lazily let their heads fall against one another's, simply enjoying the warmth and comfort of being together. I feel sleepy again. Too sleepy to finish your food? No. I could never not. Then we can rest more after, plus it'd be best to before going in the water. MHM. Atsumu steadily picked up a roll with his chopsticks and held it out toward Kayumi this time. He scoffed lightly, but accepted the offered bite all the same. Stop trying to be romantic. I wasn't even trying to. You just view everything I do as romantic. You're manipulating me. I'm not. He blew an exaggerated air kiss toward Kayumi. Instead of rolling his eyes like usual, Kayumi caught it halfway and leaned forward, replacing it with a real kiss. Atsumu blinked in surprise for all of half a second before melting into it, one hand rising to cup Kayumi's cheek. A gentle breeze swept across the beach, rustling their hair and carrying the scent of salt water through the air. Neither paid it any attention. Their kiss remained slow and unhurried, completely absorbed in one another. Even when the ocean stretched endlessly before them, all sunlight dancing across the waves, neither of them noticed. Not when the most beautiful thing there was to look at had always been sitting right in front of them. Atsumu pulled back, speaking against his lips as he did so. Okay, needy. Excuse me, God forbid I want a kiss. I like needy, don't you worry. Can we talk about you? You're super needy. Yes, I'll say it loud and proud. How can I not be? God forbid. I just, HMPT. Kayumi turned his head away, pressing his lips together as he fought back another response. He dropped whatever this was for now and let Atsumu have the win. No omae. Atsumu spurred on, stuffing another roll into his mouth before wrapping both arms around one of Kayumi's and hugging it tightly against his chest. Argue with me? So you do wanna argue? Then about what? I don't know. How much of a clean freak you are. Well, I already know you love that about me. Not the point. Then what is your point? How have you gotten this far in life being this dumb? With my amazing, wonderful charm. Aha, my question still stands. Rude. Kayumi grabbed Atsumu by the shoulder and gave him a rough shake in retaliation. Atsumu simply rocked along with the movement, looking entirely too pleased with himself as he continued stuffing his mouth with food. Still smiling smugly, he picked up another bite with his chopsticks and held it out toward Kayumi. Eat. Eat. Are you just gonna keep feeding me from now on? I guess so. I like that. Should I call you Princess too? Fuck no. But Princess would be so cute for ya. Princess Omi. Kayumi's face went immediately deadpan, accepting the food despite his stare. Is this you hinting you wanna be called that? Doesn't suit me. And it suits me? I think so. Atsumu lifted a leg and rested it above Kayumi's lazily, yawning lightly. I guess you are sleepy. I wouldn't lie. Kayumi eyed him. I won't. Well then, enough of this arguing and more eating so you can take a small nap. Yes sir. Ah. Atsumu let himself flop back onto the newly cleared blanket with a content sigh. The two had finally finished eating after lingering over their meal for quite some time, and if Atsumu had been feeling drowsy before, he was definitely feeling it now. Between the early wake up, the drive, the sun, and the food sitting warmly in his stomach, sleep was becoming harder and harder to resist. I feel like I'm in a food coma. Move. Kyumi dropped down beside him a moment later, nudging Atsumu's side until he scooted over enough to make room. Atsumu allowed himself to be pushed, and as soon as Kyumi got comfortable, he immediately curled up against him, stealing his arm and using it as a pillow. Do you feel how you kinda sink into the sand and it adjusts around you? I feel like that one plastic toy that does the same thing. I don't remember what it's called. No, I know what you're talking about. It's so satisfying. Atsumu lazily draped an arm around Kyumi's waist, slipping his hand beneath the hem of his shirt and resting it against his side. The familiar warmth beneath his fingertips only made him feel sleepier. Your skin feels really warm. Because we're fully under the sun, Atsu, and no funny business. Heard. Kyumi chuckled softly. I feel like I'm gonna tan mad. Is it bad I'm surprised you're tan? I feel like your skin is so fair. Well, it takes a long time for me to tan, at least I don't burn. Imagine getting sunburned though, I think I'd cry. You'd cry for everything. Atsumu pinched Kyumi's side, the boy immediately wincing in pain. Ow. Hey. Don't make me push your hand off. You'd have to cry it off. Atsumu's grip tightened as he said so, and Kyumi flicked his forehead. Didn't you say you were tired? I am, but I love talking to you. Kyumi, with his free hand, placed a firm hand over his eyes. Close your eyes. But, no buts. I won't take my hand off till you do. Is that supposed to be a punishment? 'Cause it really isn't. You might wanna rethink another. I'm too lazy for that, and you know better than to keep your eyes open. Fine, fine. Kyumi could feel Atsumu's eyes squeeze shut, his lashes brushing softly against his palm. Smiling to himself, he carefully pulled his hand away and threaded his fingers through the blonde's hair instead, absent-mindedly combing through the soft strands. So. Aren't we such sophisticated individuals? Atsu. You didn't say I couldn't talk. I still have my eyes closed. It'll help me fall asleep faster. Ugh. He groaned. Don't ugh. But yeah, last week I purchased a vegetable. And that makes you sophisticated how? Well, I can't think of any sooner time I've seen anyone buy one, therefore am probably by default the most healthy and sophisticated of 'em all. What vegetable did you get? An avocado. Achoo. That's not even a vegetable. What? Yes it is. Not botanically speaking. Who cares about botanically yada yada? There's no way. Yes way. No way. Yes way. At this point let's just flip-flop every term gruppin things cause apparently they're always the opposite. Who started spreading all this misinformation? And why'd we believe 'em? I don't know who's we here. We're a team, so we are a team, right? Kyumi leaned down and blew lightly across Atsumu's face. The blonde immediately scrunched his eyes tighter and furrowed his brows at the sudden rush of air. He peeked up at Kyumi. Hey, weren't you the one who wanted my eyes closed? Kyumi giggled. I know. Kyumi smiled and leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to Atsumu's eyelid. Immediately soothed, Atsumu settled back down, eyes drifting closed once more. Lip. He tilted his head upward expectantly. Okay, demanding. Kyumi snickered before indulging him, leaning down and connecting their lips in a sweet, unhurried kiss. Atsumu hummed happily into it, the vibration making Kyumi smile against his lips. When they finally pulled apart, Atsumu immediately burrowed closer, tucking his face against Kyumi's chest like he'd accomplished exactly what he'd wanted. Your lips feel so nice and cool. It's refreshing compared to all the heat. Probably from the cold sushi. Or 'cause your heart is so cold and you're such a lone wolf. What in the YN storyline? My heart is so full of love and warmth, what do you mean? So full of love for me? Literally fully reserved for you and you alone. PFF. Atsumu laughed. So sappy. So sappy. Are you tired? I feel like I can hear it in your voice. Just a tiny bit. It's so nice out though, I don't feel like sleeping. Me neither. But that's different because you literally said you wanted to earlier. I made a claim that I was tired, not that I wanted to sleep. I think it was you who told me. I think I suggested it and you agreed. I don't even remember. But fall asleep with me. Maybe. Or I'll just watch you. Creep. I know damn well you were looking at me in the car, we've been over this. I'll do what I please. And I'll stay up to wake you up later. Then, wake me up in like an hour. On the dot. What if I'm a few seconds off the dot? Then your next attempt unlocks 9 hours later on the dot. You sure you could sleep that long? Yup. How about you try for just an hour now then? Okay sheesh. Good night Omi. Good night Atsu. Sweet dreams baby. Atsumu hummed lowly, and within moments, his breathing began to even out. Before long, he had fallen into a warm, comfortable sleep. Kyumi stayed awake, staring out at the ocean, watching as foamy waves rolled steadily onto the shore before retreating once more. Eventually, his attention drifted back down to Atsumu. His eyes wandered across his boyfriend's features, mentally tracing each detail to pass the time. The curve of his nose, the outline of his brows, the way a few strands of blonde hair had fallen messily across his forehead. A stupid smile tugged at Kyumi's lips. How many times were they going to fall asleep this trip? Eventually, nearly half an hour had passed. Kyumi occupied himself with random little things, like watching the waves, listening to distant conversations carried by the breeze, counting seagulls overhead, all while continuing to provide Atsumu with a pillow in the form of his arm. He was fighting sleep himself now, because watching Atsumu nap so peacefully was definitely rubbing off onto him. After a while, he decided resting his eyes wouldn't hurt. He trusted himself not to actually fall asleep. Before doing so, he quietly pulled out his phone and snapped a few pictures of the blonde sleeping beside him. Then he set the phone back onto the blanket, shifted a little closer, and let his eyes drift shut. Birds chirped somewhere in the distance, and without realizing it, his breathing gradually matched the slow rhythm of Atsumu's. 11:10 a.m. Kyumi had been keeping a close eye on the time, and once about an hour had passed, or more accurately, 20 extra minutes against Atsumu's very specific request of on the dot, he finally decided it was time to wake him up. Atsu, hey. He poked his cheek with his index finger. Atsu. He stared as Atsumu had no reaction to his touch. He poked harder this time, repeatedly nudging his cheek until he finally saw Atsumu's eyes crack open slightly, only for his eyes to immediately drift shut again as if nothing had happened at all. Well, I know you're awake now. Goddamn. No. Let me stay. I even woke you up 20 minutes after an hour had passed. Whatata, I said on the dot, didn't I? You don't even wanna get up now. Imagine 20 minutes ago PFFF. I think you've gotten enough sleep. Yeah, not my body. You don't know how I feel. Atsumu remained perfectly comfortable with his eyes shut, looking entirely unbothered by Kyumi's efforts. Kyumi let out a long sigh, already preparing himself for another round of negotiations, when suddenly, a ringtone cut through the air from behind him. Huh, who's callin'? Maybe if you'd open your eyes you'd see. Blah, blah, blah. Kyumi reached behind himself and grabbed his phone from the blanket. The screen was nearly impossible to see beneath the bright sunlight reflecting off it, forcing him to squint as he angled it around until the caller finally came into view. Who is it? I can't see, it's too bright. Oh, it's Samu. Samu? Atsumu finally opened his eyes. Ah, the sun. Holy fuck, it's bright. What I just said. Kyumi promptly accepted the FaceTime call, Osamu's face immediately filling the screen. Yeah, at the fucking beach? What the? When the? How the? Why the hell are you yelling so damn much? Jeez. I was over here expecting a nice lovely convo, not getting screeched at. What a pain, right? Yeah, the pain, you prick. How am I not supposed to yell when I noticed Sumu's not here? I ask Ma, and she says yeah, at the damn beach. Hours away. On a random Saturday. Didn't know you'd miss me this much, so I thought it'd be fine. Genuinely go drown. Ha. Joke's on ya, I haven't even gotten in the water yet. Look how pretty everything is. Atsumu took the phone from Kyumi's hands and flipped the camera around. He slowly spun the phone in a full circle, giving Osamu a complete view of the area, waves sparkling beneath the morning sun as they rolled onto the shore. I actually hate Yukio. Me. Don't act clueless. How dare ya? And only taken him. TCH. Get Rin to take you. What do you need me for? How did you get Ma to be so chill with it? She told me so casually. I had to help her with a ton of stuff. It was so tiring. But I'm also her favorite, so. Tsumu, you gotta reprogram him. His mind is not working if he truly believes that. Yeah, I think the next update is coming pretty soon. You guys are just shaken with jealousy, wow. Miya twins. No. Jealous twins. Yes yes. Rebrand when? What are you on about? But whatever ugh. Needed to confront your traitors. Yeah, I know y'all want a whole story time on everything we do later. Maybe. Stay safe and have fun you losers. And tell me next time ahead of time. So sappy. Very sappy. Goodbye. Call ended. He's so obsessed with my life. Aha, like you wouldn't have done the same. If not more annoying. Shut your trap and let me have my moment. You can continue your moment once you get up. Come on. Kyumi eventually sat upright and began trying to coax Atsumu up with him. The moment he felt the blonde resisting, however, he simply slid his arm out from beneath his head. If you're not getting up then I'm at least taking my arm back. Go ahead, the sand makes fur a comfy pillow too. Now fully standing, Kyumi stared down at the disaster sprawled across the blanket. Atsumu looked entirely too comfortable. Why are you being so stubborn? Get up. Receiving no cooperation whatsoever, Kyumi grabbed both of Atsumu's ankles and started dragging him little by little across the blanket. Atsumu immediately committed to being deadweight. Every inch Kyumi gained felt like a battle, and when he eventually decided he'd had enough, he gave one strong yank. Atsumu slid completely off the blanket and onto the warm sand with a surprised yelp as grains scattered beneath him. Omi. Yeah, getting a ton of sand in my hair. You're getting into the water anyway so it doesn't matter. Ha. Just to prove his point further, he scooped up a handful of sand and sat above him, sprinkling it dramatically over Atsumu's hair before aggressively ruffling it into the blonde strands. No, stop, ag. Atsumu kicked his legs wildly beneath him, managing to bump Kyumi in the back with his knees. Unfortunately, this only made Kyumi laugh harder. Then, without warning, Atsumu grabbed both of Kyumi's calves, and with one determined burst of energy, he twisted and flipped their positions. Kyumi's eyes widened, and suddenly he was the one lying in the sand, with Atsumu triumphantly hovering above him. Oh. So about before haha. 3 seconds ago before? Yeah, I think I remember pretty clearly. Atsumu immediately seized 2 handfuls of sand and dumped them directly into Kyumi's curls, making sure to rub it in just as Kyumi had done. Atsumu. Kyumi grabbed for his wrists in an attempt to stop the sand attack, but Atsumu was far too committed to revenge. That's like 3 times the sand I put on you. Bahaha. It's what you deserve. Atsumu finally collapsed forward in a fit of laughter, dropping his head onto Kyumi's chest. His fingers remained tangled in Kyumi's now thoroughly sand-covered curls, and neither of them could stop smiling as their laughter mixed together. I really wanna avoid the fact that I have sand all over me. Well, it's just like you said, the water will get it out. So the sooner you get in, the sooner it'll be out. Then as much as I love you sitting on top of me, you're gonna have to get off first. I love sitting on you though. PFF. Atsumu rolled off and up onto his feet, holding out his hands for Kyumi to grab onto too, pulling him up. Oh my god, I forgot about the marks on my chest. Should I still take off my shirt? I think they look great, so yeah. Atsumu rolled his eyes. Fine, might as well. He began to unbutton his top, pausing when he noticed Kyumi wasn't doing the same. Hello, take yours off too? Alright, sorry I got distracted. Can't believe I still catch you staring. Atsumu slipped off his shirt while Kyumi began working through the buttons of his own. Once finished, they tossed the shirts onto the blanket without much thought. Atsumu's gaze immediately wandered back toward Kyumi. And stayed there. And you said I was staring. Touché. You look good in the sun, Omi, it's hard not to. A soft pink tint spread across Kyumi's cheeks at the comment, not to mention the longer he noticed Atsumu staring. Before he got the chance to make any further comments, Kyumi quickly grabbed his hand and, without giving him a chance to react, turned on his heel and began leading him toward the shoreline. Stop complimenting me like that. I might die. But you're so cute when you get all blushy. He chuckled, squeezing Kyumi's hand a little tighter. The water looks so clear. I'm surprised. I wouldn't take you to a dirty beach, hello. You're saying that as if it's for my sake and not your own. I know you'd be freaking out if it were. You could have at least pretended and gone along with it. I was trying to flatter you. Atsumu laughed, shaking his head. Wait for a second, I'm gonna check the water. Check it for what? The temperature. What if it's too cold? It's literally hot out, how's it gonna be cold? Then check in if it's too hot, so you don't boil yourself. Kyumi stared at him deadpanned, waiting a bit further back as Atsumu proceeded to examine whatever it was he wanted. You better not push me in. Stop giving me ideas. He dipped his foot in carefully, feeling the light warmness of the water. Feels good. MK. Just as Atsumu began to turn back, Kyumi suddenly rushed forward from behind. Before Atsumu could even react, Kyumi wrapped his arms around his stomach, lifted him slightly off the sand, and launched both of them into the water with a huge splash. Omi. Atsumu's yell was immediately swallowed by seawater as the two crashed beneath the surface. Kyumi could feel Atsumu kicking against his hold while they sank for a brief moment before floating back up. The second they broke the surface, Atsumu coughed lightly and shoved wet hair out of his face. Yeah. Bahaha, I'm dead, ag. Before he could finish laughing, Atsumu grabbed a fistful of his curls and shoved him straight back underwater. Though he ended up sort of doing him a favor as the sand tangled throughout his hair immediately washed away. A moment later, he resurfaced, coughing into his hand while still trying, and failing, not to laugh. Did I not say not push me? Technically I didn't. I just pulled you in. Thanks for getting all the sand out. He shook his head, droplets flying everywhere. And Atsumu stared, cursing internally, because why the hell did his curls still look annoyingly perfect soaking wet? He scoffed, ducking underwater himself, vigorously shaking his head until all the sand trapped in his hair finally washed free. A few seconds later he resurfaced beside Kyumi. Yeah, so annoying. He ran a hand through his soaked hair, pushing it back from his face. Kyumi immediately felt heat rise to his cheeks. The sunlight hit Atsumu at the perfect angle, highlighting the water droplets rolling down his skin. But for fuck's sake, when did it not? The water feels so nice. Yeah, I would have loved taking my time getting in. Stop whining. Kyumi reached over and ruffled Atsumu's damp hair before leaning forward and pressing a light kiss to his forehead. Should I say sorry? I know, yeah, not, so don't even bother. You're right. Kyumi grabbed Atsumu's hand and started swimming farther out into the water, tugging him along behind him. Every few seconds he'd flick water in Atsumu's direction with an annoyingly innocent look on his face. I feel like you keep trying to waterboard me. No, I just wanna swim with you. Wink wink. Do not be verbally saying, wink wink bhaha. It's so fun, stop. We should race. I'm listening. From where to where? From, I don't know, here to that general area. How would I mark it? That wave to that wave. Like. Oh my god. PFFTT. Okay, I got you. Ready? Ready. The second the race began, both of them dove underwater and took off. Determined to win, they swam as hard as they could, cutting through the water side by side. Atsumu started with a slight lead, but it didn't last long. The moment Kyumi began pulling ahead, Atsumu reached over and shoved at his side, stealing back a bit of space for himself. Kyumi mentally huffed, cheater. As they neared their wide-ranged sorta chosen finish point, they were practically neck and neck. Then Kyumi saw his opportunity. Mid-stroke, he grabbed Atsumu's shoulder and pushed off it. The extra momentum launched him just far enough ahead to claim victory by the narrowest margin. Whoa. You freaking cheater. The two panted as they caught their breaths, laughing exhaustedly. Why is swimming so exhausting? Maybe you're doing it wrong. Atsumu scoffed. Yeah right, look, I'll show ya. He dove underwater once more and swam a bit further away and back. However, instead of swimming normally, he proceeded to execute one of the most weird-looking, goofiest swims, causing Kyumi to choke. Hello, Achu. Kyumi nearly inhaled water from laughing. Hi. He winked and slicked his wet hair back as seductively as possible, as if he hadn't just performed whatever that swim had been. What in the hell was that? No wonder you lost. Stop, I didn't even actually lose. Well, never have I ever seen that in my damn life, that's for sure. What can I say? Yeah, first for many things. Kyumi rolled his eyes, smirking at the implication. That swim is more of a perspective thing though. Like POV, yeah, a frog. POV, it's your first day out of the womb, more like. Frogs are actually great swimmers. As am I. Well. Of course, darling. And for the record, I never signed up to witness that intricate POV. Well, yeah, so welcome. It was my pleasure. Piggyback ride. I am not trying to end up like Samu's story. That wouldn't happen again, trust. I mean, if you really are so weak to the point you can't, I understand. Get on now. Atsumu grinned, dragging Kyumi out of the water to make everything easier. Okay, you stand right there, and spread your legs a little. He pointed to a spot and Atsumu followed the instructions, staying still. Kyumi circled around him before crouching down and positioning himself between Atsumu's legs, his hand sliding up to grip his thighs. Ready? With a steady motion, he stood up, grunting softly as he lifted Atsumu onto his shoulders. Oh my god. I feel so tall, Omi. Atsumu leaned back, completely carefree, while holding onto Kyumi's curls for balance. Kyumi winced. Hold on better. You're heavy, I feel like I'm gonna fall backwards. Carefully, he began walking back deeper into the water. Atsumu laughed from his newfound height, taking in the view like he'd just climbed a mountain. Meanwhile, Kyumi was trying very hard to focus on not dropping him. And absolutely not on the fact that he had his thighs all up in his face, with a perfectly good reason to be gripping them firmly. Stability, of course. Definitely not. But just to prove his point about stability, he tightened his hold slightly. Atsumu, meanwhile, looked like he was having the time of his life. Yeah, totally worth it. Kyumi took another step, then froze. What the fuck just touched me? Touched? I'm gonna drop you because literally what was that? I'm gonna die. You best not. What do you feel? Something sharp just grazed me, I swear. Spiky sharp? I don't know and I don't want to try to find out. He backed up cautiously. Fine, put me down, I wanna see. A grin slowly spread across Kyumi's face, and after making absolutely certain the water was deep enough, he threw them both backwards, tackle style. He coughed as he resurfaced. I said put, not throw. Kyumi shrugged, laughing. Work smarter, not harder. The second Atsumu recovered, he immediately swam over to inspect the area Kyumi had supposedly been touched at. By what? Who the hell knows? It was around here, right? Yeah. Atsumu narrowed his eyes and scanned the water carefully, searching for any movement beneath the surface. The water itself was very clear, but the constant shifting of sand and rolling waves distorted everything just enough to make spotting anything difficult. Behind him, Kyumi hovered cautiously. Every few seconds he peeked around Atsumu's shoulder, letting him investigate. I can barely see anything. You think it was a creature, like an urchin? I don't even think there are urchins out here. Well, all you told me was it was sharp. I need some specifics. I don't know what else to tell you. Not like I could see it. Let me try going under. You sure that's a good idea? No, but let's do it further plot. Kyumi looked mildly concerned but decided to trust whatever plan Atsumu appeared to be formulating. Without warning, Atsumu took a deep breath and dove underwater. He opened his eyes and looked around, and then immediately shot back to the surface, the sudden movement startling Kyumi so badly he nearly jumped. Holy, what the hell was that? I felt something stab me. Actually. I told you. Wait, Omi, I'm scared. I feel like it's some killer sea creature. What if it's poisonous? Their faces paled as they glanced back and forth, side-eyeing the water. Are we gonna keep trying to get it? Yeah. Okay, but I felt it more over here. They moved over to the right a smidge more. Are you gonna try? Hahaha, you're funny. No, I'll be supporting you though. Okay, good enough. I don't actually think it's anything dangerous, maybe. Just don't make me feel bad if it is. If it is, it's your fault. You're literally volunteering yourself. Katniss Everdeen. Atsumu laughed, covering his face. Shut your trap and turn that supportiveness on already. He went back under, looking around once more. This time, however, something shiny caught his eye. Raising an eyebrow, he swam lower and gently brushed away the sand covering it, only for his expression to immediately go blank. Without another thought, he grabbed the object and resurfaced, holding it out to Kyumi with the most unimpressed look imaginable. It's a soda cap. Pause. A soda cap. Kyumi blinked. Stop. He tried to hold back his laugh, cheeks puffing as he bit down on the inside of his lip. They stared at one another in complete silence, neither willing to break first. Atsumu maintained his deadpan expression for all of 3 seconds before the corners of his mouth twitched upward. The next second he cracked completely, bursting into laughter, and Kyumi wasn't far behind. I don't wanna hear it. Kyumi's head dropped into his hands as he laughed and groaned simultaneously. This is what you're freaked out over. I'm dead, ha 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 ha. You're such a jerk, so did you. Cause you hyped up the scare factor. Or haha. Atsumu drew closer to Kyumi and took his hand, placing the soda cap on his palm. Here's your token. Stoop, you're being condescending. He pouted, a smirk spreading across the blonde's face. You're just such a drama queen. I'm not. You are. No. Yes. No. Yes. Does that mean it scraped you when you first found it? It is one of those ridged ones. Does anything hurt? No, I don't feel anything. So no need for me to kiss you better? His eyes shot up. It hurts so much. I was just confused, you see. In a daze. Atsumu snickered. You're so stupid sometimes. Hey, I'm injured right now. Atsumu slid a hand up to cup the side of his face before tilting his head and pressing a soft kiss against his lowered jaw. He took his time trailing kisses upward, intentionally slow as he worked his way toward Kyumi's lips. Every time he got close enough to finally kiss him, he'd swerve at the last second and press one to the opposite corner of his mouth instead. A faint vibration tickled against Atsumu's lips as Kyumi hummed, sounding just the slightest bit frustrated. Fine. He whispered, finally taking pity on him and pressing a proper kiss to his lips. What began as soft quickly deepened as Kyumi kissed him back, turning it from leisurely into something stronger, though no less sweet. Kyumi's hands drifted down his exposed back before settling at his waist, pulling him closer until barely any space remained between them. Atsumu could feel his skin prickle where it met Kyumi's, still cool from the water despite the heat of the afternoon sun. After a long while, Atsumu finally broke away, breathing a little heavier than before. Achoo. He slumped onto Atsumu's shoulder, sulking. You aren't allowed to sulk anymore to get more kisses out of me. Whatever, I guess. Kyumi leaned forward and pressed a quick kiss to his neck before lifting his head and abruptly dragging him backward into the water again. The two continued fooling around for quite a while after that, spending their time swimming, racing, cooling off from the steadily warming sun, and simply enjoying being together. Breath holding contest. You in? I'm in. Rules? You need to have your eyes closed and just stay as long as you can. Tap the other person if you lose so they can come back up too. Just don't die or anything. PFFT, I can hold my breath for well over 60,000 milliseconds. Wait. Kyumi paused, calculating in his head. Isn't that a minute but in milliseconds? For dramatic effect and am not technically lying. Win-win, for sure. Ready, go. They each took a deep breath before dunking under, pinching their noses and squeezing their eyes shut. They were each holding their own strongly, a full minute passing with neither of them resurfacing. Then another 25 seconds, and finally, Atsumu was the first to come up, gasping for air and sighing. Although, Kyumi had already won the last challenge and he'd cheated even if Atsumu had first, but who remembered anyway, huh? With that logic in mind, he took one quick breath and immediately dove back under. Not even 3 seconds later, Kyumi resurfaced with a sharp inhale, blinking water from his eyes before realizing he'd apparently been the first one back up. Well, Atsumu had cheated during their race first, even if he'd somehow still managed to lose, so really, Kyumi had every right to either return the favor or rightfully hand Atsumu the win, said no one ever, and he dived right back under after sucking in another big breath. Another 40 seconds passed. Both of them began growing increasingly concerned, obviously not knowing that the other had secretly gone back for a second breath. Dots. Simultaneously, they burst out of the water, sucking in sharp breaths while combing their soaked hair out of their faces. The second their eyes met, realization dawned. Did we tie? How long was that? You had me scared. You did too. Why the heck weren't you coming up? I told you I could hold my breath, didn't I? Kyumi eyed him. We both went back up, huh? I guess so. Kyumi dropped his head to the side, laughing. We really need to stop cheating. The only way I'll ever cheat on you. Atsumu splashed water at his face, laughing as Kyumi's eyes shut tightly. Better be. Kyumi immediately shoved water back at him, which only escalated things further. Before long, the two were relentlessly splashing one another, each trying to get the upper hand, quickly devolving into a full-on underwater brawl, with surprise attacks, ankle grabbing, and absolutely no regard for fair play. After spending the last couple of hours doing the absolute most in the water, the two had finally tired themselves out and made their way back onto the beach. Dry sand clung to the soles of their feet with every step, sticking stubbornly to their damp skin. Atsumu stretched as he walked, throwing one arm over his head and pulling on it with the other while letting out a loud sigh. Why is it so hot? I'm dying now that we aren't in the water. Kyumi shielded his eyes from the sunlight while Atsumu seemed perfectly content basking in it. As Kyumi glanced over, however, his attention snagged elsewhere. His eyes lingered on Atsumu's thighs, which looked far more defined now that his wet shorts clung slightly to his skin. Before he could stop himself, he let out a playful whistle. Atsumu's head immediately snapped toward him, eyes narrowing suspiciously. What was that fur, my smokin' self? Don't worry about it. MHMM. We should have brought those water rings that you throw into the water and try and find. No? I feel like that would have been so fun. OHH, those plastic ones? It would have been, but I feel like we definitely would have lost them with all the waves. Yeah, right. Atsumu plopped down onto the sand, followed slowly by Kyumi. Relaxing? Yeah. He sighed tiredly and leaned back onto his hands, stretching his legs out across the sand beside Kyumi's. For a while, neither spoke. They simply sat there listening to the crash of the waves against the shore, the water occasionally creeping close enough to brush against their toes before slipping away again. Do you think I'm a sunrise or sunset? You're a category 5 hurricane. I see your point. But I mean, is your judgment really accurate if you haven't seen a sunset today? What is this leading to? It's led into me propers in the idea of stay until sunset. I honestly felt like we were always gonna stay till sunset. Actually? Yes. Atsumu smiled brightly, and Kyumi felt warmth bloom in his chest. He reached over and combed a hand through Atsumu's hair, brushing the damp strands back from his face. Atsumu immediately melted into the touch, letting the weight of his head rest against Kyumi's hand. Hold still, I'm trying to style it. But it's too relaxing, I can't help it. Despite his complaint, Atsumu held himself upright so Kyumi could continue. As Kyumi experimented with different hairstyles, Atsumu occupied himself by playing with the sand in front of them. Using the damp sand closer to the shoreline, he carefully piled it up and began constructing a little sand castle. He added little details wherever he could, carving a curved window into one side, shaping tiny peaks along the top, and dragging his finger through the sand to create a winding path leading toward the entrance. Once he was satisfied with it, he reached over and poked Kyumi's cheek to get his attention, all while Kyumi's fingers remained tangled in his hair. Look at my sand castle. It looks cute. Are you gonna make a full mansion or no? I don't have enough patience for that. But here. One final touch. He reached into Kyumi's shorts pocket and pulled out the soda cap they had found earlier. Not that dang soda cap, you're giving me trauma. Shush, you need some exposure therapy. Atsumu pressed the soda cap into the front of the sandcastle, serving as its centerpiece. See. Now it feels complete. Is that the soda cap's final resting place? Oh no, don't you worry, we're taking it, it's gonna be our little keepsake of the trip. Kyumi groaned, but a small smile tugged at the corners of his lips. Give me your finger. Atsumu gave him a skeptical look and slowly stuck out his pointer finger. Without saying a word, Kyumi took hold of his hand and guided it down toward the base of the sand castle. Pressing his own finger beside Atsumu's, he pushed both of them gently into the sand before pulling away a second later. A small heart remained behind, perfectly stamped into the sand through the shape of their fingerprints. There, now it's finished. Oh my. Atsumu immediately launched himself at him. Kyumi barely had time to react before he was wrapped up in a crushing hug, kisses being rapidly peppered across every inch of his face. His eyes widened in alarm, though after a brief moment of consideration, he sighed and accepted his fate. Dot. 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 It was later in the day by this point, the sun sitting higher overhead as the beach steadily grew busier around them. The two had long since changed back into their button-ups, and their shorts had finally dried after spending hours in and out of the water. They were currently making their way down a beachside walkway toward a nearby snow cone stand after Atsumu had, unfortunately for Kyumi, opened maps and discovered one only 11 minutes away. The moment he'd found it, he'd immediately spun his phone around and launched into a persuasive speech about why leaving their things unattended for just a little bit would be completely fine. Against all odds, he'd somehow won. I don't see a plaza yet. There should be one just over there. He pointed ahead into the distance, spotting a nicely sized plaza with vendors. It's more crowded than I thought. I hate people. Yeah, a person. Yeah, but I'm literally better. Then imagine a tsunami happened. Right now? Right now. Okay, imagining. What do we do about this tsunami? Like us personally? Are we supposed to stop it? I thought you would be considerate and try at least. Well, I can't exactly control water. Why'd me saying water remind me of that one laptop game on Cool Math Games where you control Fire Boy and Water Girl? PFFT what? Stop changing the subject. Okay. I'd try to save you. What about everyone else here? They could figure it out. I believe in them. So would you not save them cause you hate people? Not necessarily. Wouldn't want them to get taken out for no reason. I'm not that hateful. Then would you really still say hate rather than dislike? So what's the point of this abrupt hypothetical situation? See if you truly hate people, but I lost the plot halfway through if you couldn't already tell. I felt like one of them annoying kids whose vocabulary is limited asking why a million times back. Every time I talk to you I feel confused. I've truly never met anyone that speaks like you do. You need to stop love bombing me. What? It's not a compliment, you scare me sometimes. Atsumu lightly punched Kiyumi's side. By now they'd reached the plaza, giving them a clear view of the various vendors lining the area. Small booths and stands stretched along the walkway, selling everything from snacks and drinks to beach souvenirs and handmade jewelry. No wonder it's crowded, they have a ton of stuff over here. Ice cream, souvenirs, there's the snow cones. That's why I like where we set up, but I already know you would have wanted to be over here if you'd known. I'm not that big. Gosh, oh me. PFFT sure. They strolled over to the snow cone stand and joined the line, thankfully pretty short. Oh, there's a lemonade stand too. He gestured beside them to the right. Or shoot, that sounds so good right now. I could go get one and we'd just share one of each. Atsumu's eyes gleamed. Make sure you get strawberry lemonade then. And you better get half mango flavoring. Gotcha. Kiyumi stepped into the neighboring line for the lemonade. Within a few minutes, the two were walking away together, each carrying their respective items. That cherry? Half cherry, half mango. I swear we get some type of food or snack every time we're together. Food's just one of our love languages. Brings us closer together. Atsumu slowed his pace and opened his mouth expectantly, silently cueing Kiyumi to give him a sip. Kiyumi sighed softly, though a smile still tugged at the corners of his lips as he lifted the cup and held the straw to his lips, allowing him to drink. That's so freaking good. In return, he scooped up a spoonful of mango shaved ice and held it toward Kiyumi. He accepted it without hesitation, humming softly as the cool sweetness hit his tongue. It's not too sweet, I like it. Yeah, right. Atsumu shoveled another spoonful into his own mouth, looking like the happiest person now that he'd finally gotten what he'd been craving. Kiyumi found himself staring. The sunlight caught in Atsumu's hair as they walked, his bright smile somehow shining just as much. Between the warmth of the afternoon and the way Atsumu looked ridiculously happy over something as simple as shaved ice, Kiyumi felt heat creep into his face. A rosy blush spread across his cheeks before he quickly opened his mouth again, allowing Atsumu to feed him another spoonful in a futile attempt to distract himself. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Atsumu reached over and pinched his cheek, and Kiyumi immediately shot him a light scowl. "You're adorable. That was random. But you smiled, didn't you?" He turned his head away, a small smile spreading across his face as he shook his head. "Well, yeah. That's the whole point, Omi. See, yeah, beautiful smile." He grabbed Kiyumi's chin with his hand and pulled him closer, pressing a firm kiss against his cheek. "You're gonna get snow cone syrup all over my face. You crybaby. I know you don't actually care when it's coming from a kiss." He heard a low grumble from the boy, though he didn't bother denying his accusation, leaving Atsumu feeling triumph. Got any hot takes? You come up with that topic because you were thinking about how hot it is? Yes. Nice transition. Why, thank you. I'd like a nice answer back. He thought for a moment. Mint chocolate chip ice cream is absolutely diabolical and should not exist. What? I thought you loved mint. Mint. Not in ice cream form. Let's keep that shit separate. I don't fully disagree, but I've just never really cared for it. Let people live, and if mint chocolate chip gives them a reason to, then so be it. That's pretty tame coming from you. I thought you'd attack full force. So you want me to be more offending? Not that I would ever encourage bad behavior, but it wouldn't hurt anyone. Kyumi laughed. People who dye their hair are attention seekers. Excuse me? Atsumu reached and tugged hard on Kyumi's curls, earning a yelp. Stop, I'm joking. Aha, sure you are. And how can I even be attention seeking when I already have all the attention, duh? Kyumi raised an eyebrow, suppressing a laugh. You never fail to break my heart. You'll be fine, Atsu. He ruffled his hair, the setter rolling his eyes. What's your hot take? That it should be legally required for every individual on this planet to take some sort of handwritten class. There's gotta be some requirement for it, cause genuinely how does a majority of people's look atrocious? Wait, I second this so hard. Imagine being 40 and having the handwriting of a 3-year-old using cheap restaurant crayons. At the very least have it be legible. You know who has really bad handwritten? Fucking Matson. That guy from Aoba Josei? Yes, I full on gasped when I saw it for the first time. How'd you even see it in the first place? I didn't know you guys talked. I hung out with Kava about a month ago and he came along with his boyfriend Maki. I've known them both for a while though, since Kava introduced us more at some of our earlier matches. I see. From what I know about them, I'm not surprised you get along with them. You typically get along with everyone. Are you calling me smooth? Charismatic? He batted his lashes. Is it hard to believe I am? Because you are. Even I got fooled. Omi, wait. Stop giving me backhanded compliments, you jer. Before Atsumu could continue, Kyumi snatched their spoon and promptly shoved a spoonful of shaved ice into his mouth. Atsumu shot him an offended look while he munched away. Dot. Dot. The two continued walking, finishing off their treats along the way, and before long they had finally made it back to their original spot on the beach. See? Told you our stuff would be fine. Okay, but you never know. I'm the sensible one in this relationship. And I bring the happiness and joy. What about anger? Don't tell me you're talking about that Inside Out movie right now. I am. You know who I hate? Everyone other than me, of course. I thought we went over this already. Yes, but on the topic of Inside Out. That damn hoe Sadness. Genuinely, she makes me rage. Because get off my screen. Now. Thank you very much. Like we get it, yeah, sad. But holy shit. Just complaining 100% of the movie and dragging my own joy down. You know that opinion is very sensible of you. I told you. He smirked, having proven his point. That's why you're stuck with me. I don't mind. I could spend forever with you. Even if I'm a mess at times, plus a lot to handle. You're my mess, Atsu. You already know I can handle you all day. In more ways than one. He winked. Shut your trap, try being slicker. But it's nice to hear you say it out loud from time to time. He stretched his back lightly, sighing. You finished with the lemonade? I can go throw away the trash. I think they only have cans up where we parked. Kyumi took the last sip of the drink before handing it off to Atsumu, nodding. Yeah, also, do you mind going into the car and grabbing the volleyball I brought? On cue, he threw Atsumu the keys, which he caught perfectly, his mouth parting slightly. You brought one? Actually. I thought it'd be fun to play. Yes. Let's go beach volleyball. Without wasting a second, he sprinted up the sandy path toward the parking area, his voice carrying behind him as he shouted excitedly. Kyumi couldn't help laughing as he watched him go, folding his arms across his chest. A few moments later, Atsumu came running back with a volleyball tucked securely beneath one arm and the biggest grin spread across his face. He tossed the car keys toward Kyumi, who caught them easily. Meanwhile, Atsumu continued farther onto the sand, spinning the volleyball between his hands and tossing it into the air a few times while he waited. Once Kyumi had safely stowed the keys away, he made his way over. Atsumu caught the ball and tucked it against his hip. So what are we doing? Friendly passes, or are we making it a competition? We can do friendly for now. If you say so. Atsumu tossed the ball upward and sent an easy pass toward Kyumi. He received it smoothly and sent a controlled set back. Atsumu jumped, spiking it lightly down. Kyumi dug it. Then another pass. Another set. Another spike. The ball moved steadily between them as they warmed up, both keeping the rally smooth and controlled. That ice for about 15 seconds. Atsumu sent up a clean set and their eyes met, locked onto one another as their smirks widened. Without saying a word, they both came to the exact same conclusion, understanding that it wasn't just a friendly passing session anymore. The set continued and floated perfectly into Kyuumi's path. He launched himself upward and hammered the ball toward Atsumu's left with considerably more force than before. Sand exploded beneath Atsumu's feet as he dove sideways, somehow managing to dig it up. Too slow. The ball soared back into the air. Using his next touch, Atsumu drove it sharply behind Kyuumi, aiming for the open space he'd just vacated. Unfortunately for him, Kyuumi had already anticipated it. He pivoted backward, intercepted the shot, and immediately transitioned into another attack. From there, neither of them held back, and every rally turned into a battle. Kyuumi used sharp angles and precise placement to force Atsumu across the sand, while Atsumu countered with ridiculous saves and last-second recoveries that had no business working as often as they did. Sand flew with every dive, their laughter mixed with bits of trash talk here and there. The ball barely touched the ground, and before either of them realized it, they'd each hit 10 points. Then 12, then 15, and at some point they stopped counting altogether. The score didn't matter too much anyway. Now it was simply Kyuumi versus Atsumu, two volleyball addicts pushing each other harder and harder, completely locked in on every movement, every fake, every spike, and every impossible save. Dot. 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 I feel dead. They found themselves sprawled out across the sand, completely exhausted from everything they'd been doing. Their chests rose and fell steadily as they caught their breath, limbs heavy from hours spent swimming, walking, and playing volleyball. It was nearing 7 p.m. now. The sun had lost its earlier intensity, slowly sinking lower in the sky, painting the sand in warm amber tones while the ocean reflected streaks of orange and pink. I feel like time always flies by when we play volleyball. Something about it. It's like hypnotic. Yes, that. Doesn't it just feel like your soul's being pulled towards the sport? It does. That's why we're going pro. Atsumu let out a warm laugh, the sound sending a rush of warmth straight through Kyuumi's chest and filling his stomach with tingly butterflies. Yeah, right. Kyuumi scooched closer to Atsumu, closing the small gap between them. He rested his head on Atsumu's bicep, completely content. What was even the point of bringing a beach blanket if we were just gonna lay all in the sand all day? I'm too tired to go over there, so that's why I'm using you as my beach blanket. Kyuumi leaned forward and pressed a firm kiss against the blonde's neck, smiling when a burst of laughter immediately escaped him. Yeah, ticklin' me. Good. He peppered several more kisses along the same spot. Each one earned another fit of giggles, and he could feel the vibrations travel through Atsumu's skin and against his lips, making him smile. Meanwhile, Atsumu could feel the curve of that smile against his neck, and for some reason it made his heart pound even harder. The sky looks so orange and pretty like the sunrise this morning. Kyuumi paused his attack to peer up at the sky. Sunset's already happening. They usually do around 7. Lasts for a while though. Kyuumi settled again, resting his head against Atsumu's bare chest. Somewhere during their volleyball game, both of them had long since abandoned their shirts, leaving them tossed carelessly near the blanket again. Atsumu's heartbeat filled his senses, steady and comforting beneath his ear. A quiet laugh slipped from his lips, and Atsumu glanced down. What's so funny? Your heart is beating pretty fast. It's funny. What are you, 5? No, I'm Kyuumi. Don't even start that with me. Atsumu groaned, using his free hand to pinch the bridge of his nose. Hi. Hi. Are you losing it? I can tell you're losing it. I'm not. Maybe I feel a little high off volleyball, you know? I think only Rin would get you on that one. Atsumu stifled a laugh. I'm telling him you said that. Omi, stop. Hoes before bros. Hello? Isn't it bros before hoes? Hello. Don't focus on the hello part, focus on the second part. Shall focus on whatever part I want. Are you losing it? Am not. Dots. Dots. They broke into a fit of laughter. What's wrong with us? Everything. Clearly. Because we're stupid? I don't know about me, but you're stupid. If anything, you're stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. Do not copy my accent, stupid. You're cute. You're hot. Kiss. See Miya. He tipped Kayumi's chin upward, gently nudging their noses together before their mouths fell together sweetly, already soft and open. The scent of the ocean drifted around them as the evening breeze brushed past, carrying away the warmth of the day. Kayumi threaded his fingers through Atsumu's hair, feeling the soft tickle of his breath against his skin as they lingered there together, a sugary bite from their snow cone and lemonade still on their tongues. Slowly, Kayumi shifted closer, lifting himself to hover over the setter to stoop at the best degree to deepen their kiss, mess Atsumu up even further through just his lips. Omi, wait just a sec. He broke away for a quick breath, though the second he looked up and met Kayumi's gaze, he nearly forgot what he'd been trying to say. God, he was adorable. Warmth bloomed in Atsumu's chest. Before Kayumi could complain, Atsumu surged forward again, capturing his lips in another kiss. At the same time, he guided them both upright, wanting to regain at least a little control instead of letting Kayumi completely tower over him. Kayumi felt his hand settle firmly at his waist as he pulled him closer. He was practically sitting in the blonde's lap now, his perfectly sculpted thighs hard yet insanely comfy. Honestly, he could stay like this forever. Curled up in Atsumu's lap, tasting him as he pleased, feeling his hair messily draped against his own forehead. That sounded like a pretty perfect future. Maybe he'd beg Atsumu for it later. Just maybe. Eventually, after what felt like forever and nowhere near long enough all at once, they finally eased apart. Their foreheads remained close, breaths mingling as they caught their breath. For several quiet moments, neither looked away. Also, you were super right. I know. About what? Quit acting smart and let me compliment you real quick. So are you complimenting me on my idea on kissing? Or my kissing ability? Both and neither. I was gonna say yeah idea on coming to the beach, this was super fun. I mean technically it was yours, remember? All those videos you were sending me? Oh yeah right. Never mind, forget the compliment haha. I'll get off your lap right now. No stay. Atsumu's grip on his waist tightened, holding him in place in case he actually did try leaving. Take all the compliments you want. MHM. He hummed, holding back a small laugh. Does the sunset happen and mean we're leaving soon? Atsumu's brows suddenly pinched together, his expression softening into something almost sad. Without a word, Kayumi lifted a hand and gently brushed his thumb across his cheek, letting out a fond sigh. I can't get back in that car already. I did promise your mum we'd only be here a day, and I can't possibly ruin my number one spot in her heart, so I gotta stick to that. Yeah, not her number one, might I set straight once again. I will get off your lap. I'm not gonna lie to yeah face on this one, get up for all I care. Well, for all I care that you care, I'm staying whether you like it or not. Or look at ya, yeah saying you like being on my lap. He waved his brows playfully, and Kayumi shot a hand to cover them. Shut up. Back on topic. Even though it's sunset already, I don't technically have to have you home until morning, so we could start leaving at around 11. Really? Whoa. You better not try and get more time after that. Don't bother sweet talking me. As long as you're staying over once we get back, I'm good. So? I could stay over, but we gotta shower when we get there immediately. I'm already having to put up with driving back covered in ocean water for like 5 hours. Y'all live, this water is pretty damn clean. Yeah, thank Lord. Yeah, drive in on the way back in the beginning though, right? Yeah, I will. I knew the whole passenger princess thing wouldn't last forever for me. I'll drive the second half again, don't you worry princess. You know. Bahahomi. That's better. Don't ever get comfortable calling me that. Stop being such a baby and let's go back to the water. Okay. Kayumi leaned forward once more, stealing one final kiss before they inevitably went back to teasing each other and causing problems in the water. When they finally pulled apart, a faint pink dusted both their faces. They settled comfortably against one another again, watching the waves roll onto shore as the evening sky continued to deepen overhead, neither in any hurry to leave the moment behind. I love you Atsu. I love ya, Omi. Meow. 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 Finn. Hi again. I hope you loved this series. This was seriously so fun to make, putting aside all the pain of it hahaha, and I'd love to know what you thought, so make sure to comment because I literally love you guys. Once again. Hope you enjoyed and I love you. Mwah.